always, guys, there'll be giveaways at the end of the video from boostedshades.com. Make sure you stick around to see how to win. See you on, bro.
Putting the camera up, man.
Bro, that's much better. What's up, guys, and welcome to Datsun build episode, I don't know. The next one.
Yeah.
It's the next one. Today we're going to be starting assembly of our 2.3 turbo Ford motor for the Datsun.
We're not going to get quite as far as we had hoped because we had a little issue with getting the bearings.
We needed undersized bearings for this thing, 1000 specifically, and the bearings we got were not only the wrong size, they were also for the wrong car. So we're going to do as much as we can today, as well as explain what direction we're going to head in with this motor. There's a lot to talk about, so we're just going to get started.
Alright, so the first thing what we have to do with assembling this engine is take the pistons from this to this. And although pistons look pretty simple, there's actually quite a few parts that go into it.
Yeah, a bunch of little clips and rings and clasps and whatnot.
We're going to go ahead and get started and walk you guys through this, because it's actually, well, there's some technique involved. Okay, so on the lower left we have 2 oil rings. Right above that is a spacer. Then we have our top compression ring and our lower compression ring.
The oil ring, second compression, top compression.
Putting these on is pretty straightforward. Okay, so now that the rings are on, you get to do the fun part. Okay, so Devin's sliding the wrist pin, sliding the wrist pin into the piston, and that goes through the rod. Okay, that goes in pretty easy, but what makes this job a bitch are these little clips. Want to give me one of those? They're C-clips, but we have, these are called spiral clips. Okay, so unlike a C-clip, there's no gap here, so what you have to do, just grab it and stretch it out a little bit. So basically there's a groove in the piston itself that holds this. This prevents the wrist pin from falling out, and you twist it into the groove. We've been concerned for a while now that our turbo isn't going to fit without spacers or other modification. The first thing we wanted to check was make sure that it was going to clear the valve cover. It was also time that our valve cover got a makeover, so we stripped the old crappy paint off and hit it with a fresh coat of black. The next thing we needed to do was get our turbo ready to be bolted to the car for fitment. There's a few things that we're not going to use on the turbo, like the internal wastegate. We have our own external one. So the first thing we actually had to do was remove this. The problem with taking it off is that once it's gone, there's nothing to hold down the flap in the exhaust portion of the turbo. Our solution was to weld the hinge on the outside to hold it in place, and then hit it with more weld on the inside to make sure that it never opens on us. What we've done is shove a wet paper towel in the delicate parts of the exhaust side of this is to not damage them. Well, Devin goes ahead and welds the internal wastegate shut. We've already welded the door on the outside, but for extra precaution and to ensure maximum boost, no boost leakage, we're gonna go ahead and weld some of the inside too. Okay. Looks pretty awful, but it's gonna do the job. Alright guys, I want to take a minute to talk about this head. It's not just a big cam that we have, it's an entirely new head, and this head is gonna make our car an absolute beast. I'm gonna take a minute to go over what's in this, because I want you guys to be as excited about this build as we are. One of the most common problems with these heads on the Ford cars is that the exhaust seats tend to crack. We have hardened exhaust seats on this one, which eliminates that problem entirely. The valve train is also interesting, as all the valves are oversized. We have ComCam hardened valve locks and beehive springs and retainers for 2-step and high boost. And finishing up, we have the largest hydraulic roller cam that Beauport offers. This is the Stage 3 one, and with all things considered, this head alone would be more than enough to make this engine an absolute monster. But we also have forged internals and a 67mm turbo. So we're pretty pumped to be assembling this motor, and we hope you guys enjoy the build. Right now we're bolting up our China manifold to see if the turbo actually fits this engine. To our surprise, it fit with no clearance issues the first time. The only problem was that the oil out was facing straight up in the center of the turbo, so we needed to clock the turbo to get this into the right position. Alright guys, unfortunately we're gonna have to take off basically everything we did today because we have yet to build the lower end. We did what we did to make sure that everything was gonna fit. We were gonna be able to clock the turbo successfully, and everything looks good. So as soon as we get those bearings in, we should be able to put it together for real.
So there's a few concerns that we have with the car. The transmission and the chassis, we're definitely gonna need to do some structural upgrades, but everything else seems to be moving along pretty good.
Yeah, this motor is going to be a beast. It's built for right around 600, if not more. We're not going to have it tuned that high until we can get the Datsun a little bit safer. I'm sure as soon as we put the motor in, it's going to blow the tires clean off the car.
Yep.
We're going to put it in as is and then do the suspension and the tires and the structural upgrades. So there's going to be a point in time where we have basically the most dangerous car in the world.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting.
As you guys know, or as you know who watch our videos every week, we give away products from our store, boostedshades.com. Usually there's a question at the end of the video. We'll get to that, but right now Devin's gonna pick this video's or last video's winner.
All right, this week's winner is BFD Typer.
Our BFD Typer. Contact us through any of our social media accounts or Teamboosted at boostedshades.com. and we'll ship you your prize. All right, we have kind of a fun question for you guys to win this week. The requirements to win the weekly giveaway is you gotta be subscribed to the channel, like the video, and then comment the answer to this question. We found out recently, hold on. If you've been following this build, you know that we got an exhaust made for the old setup. It's all cut up in this box now, and that is because it's only 2.5 inches at points, and we're gonna need to run a 3 or 3.5 inch exhaust to get the full potential out of this motor. Unfortunately, there's no room under the car to support that.
So our only options are gonna be either an exhaust out the fender or out the hood, and we wanna know your guys' opinion on that.
There's a few pros and cons to each. They're both extremely loud. We might be able to quiet down the fender exit a little bit more. That's not really a concern of ours. There's also the possibility of having it come out like the front bumper. With the hood exit, that's my personal favorite, but Devin pointed out that sometimes when you park it, you know, you run the risk of people like putting shit down it and stuff like that, and you know, if it rains, it doesn't rain much here in California, but they're all things to think about. But it's definitely gonna be either hood or side exit, so comment what you guys would like to see, because that's really what it comes down to at this point.
As always, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.